I want the full fez treatment. A wash, cream rinse, and a lot of that wiggly stuff you do with your fingers.
Abracadabra, baby.
It's not funny.
But I mean, it does beg the question, what has gone wrong with young Hollywood? Honest to God, what is the problem?
Yeah. Juicy sweatsuits, doing lines in the restroom. All y'all dressed to impress who?
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Lay Do You Remember This? A podcast where we look back on all the stories from Hollywood's best-worst decade, the early 2000s. A time in history when America found out that with a trust fund, a sex tape, and a dream, you too could become a star. I'm your host, Dara Lane, with a new episode. We begin our story today in 2013. They say pop culture died in 2009, but this story has all the trappings of an early 2000s tabloid banger. Lindsay Lohan? Check. A quarter of the cast of That 70s Show? Check. Someone leaking personal details of a celebrity's sex life to Page Six? Check and check and check and check. In fact, this story leaked a little tidbit about 31 celebrities' sex lives. The best part of it all? We were living in a pre-Trump America where we had the bandwidth to absorb and fully relish in the gossip. We were nestled between the wing and bosom of a bald eagle with the head of Barack Obama.
God bless America.
This is what Daddy Bird Barack wanted for us. He wanted to put us to bed in a comfy nest made of hair extensions and Us Weekly paper shreds, while visions of Lohans danced in our heads. Could we ever imagine that 6 years later, we'd all know the names of 3 different White House communications directors, yet Lindsay Lohan attempting to kidnap Syrian refugee children on Instagram Live barely was a blip on the radar. God, even Lindsay's criminal escapades have become somewhat political. But, back to 2013. We had hope. We had change. We had Lindsay Lohan's fuck list. In March 2014, a list of 36 names written on a Scattergories note card was leaked to In Touch magazine. Allegedly, the list of names were all the people Lindsay had slept with. It was purported that Lindsay herself wrote this list while she giggled with friends at the Beverly Hills Hotel in January 2013, over a year earlier. In Touch made a meal out of the story, teasing it out for days. Originally, they published a photo of the list with most of the names redacted. Then, they slowly revealed more names, which we will talk about later. If you're wondering about the authenticity of this list, Lindsay herself confirms its legitimacy on Watch What Happens Live.
Recently, an alleged list of your alleged former conquests was leaked or published, okay? A few of the names on the list were like Ashton Kutcher, Orlando Bloom, Zac Efron, James Franco, Justin Timberlake. Will you confirm having tristed?
I cannot confirm or deny.
You cannot confirm or deny 2 of the names that I just mentioned?
I plead the 5th.
You pled the 5th.
Oh, you can only do it once?
Yes, that's the game.
Really?
Yes. Is there one
Then I
name?
cannot confirm or deny.
You cannot confirm or deny?
Back to what I said, yeah.
Was the list, how accurate was the list?
You know what? I'm gonna get serious for a second. I have to do this quickly because I know that we don't have much time. That was actually my 5th step in AA with Betty Ford. And someone, when I was moving during the OWN show, must have taken a photo of it. And so that's a really personal thing.
Wow.
And it's really unfortunate because it's, and I talk about this on the last episode of the OWN show, so.
Okay.
To be continued.
Very good. Thank you very much, Lindsay Lohan.
I gotta say, I don't buy it. In her docuseries on the OWN network, she says that the list was a part of her AA workbook at Betty Ford, where you take your sexual inventory, which is a part of the 4th step of the 12 steps. So why the hell was this list written on a loose slip of Scattergories paper and not in the workbook?
What's up with that?
What's up with that?
The night of January 30th, 2013, Lindsay was staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel. She was in town for a court appearance, and she and her mother tried to check in at 2 other hotels that wouldn't have them. I have to say, this report is so specific, and it comes out so long after, I can't imagine it isn't true. If I believed this categories list was truly a tool for healing her emotional demons and addictions, I probably wouldn't be talking about it right now. But I do not think this is some Amanda Knox situation. If you remember, from the trial or from the Lifetime movie starring Hayden Panettiere, when Amanda was held in an Italian prison, the guards told her she tested positive for HIV and made her write down a list of everyone she'd slept with. They knew she didn't actually have HIV and just published the list in Italian newspapers. That's low down dirty and very traumatic. The leaking of Lindsay's list, on the other hand, had some pretty suspicious timing. It comes out the same week that Lindsay's docuseries on Oprah's own network debuts. It's kind of reminiscent of when Paris's sex tape leaked just before The Simple Life premiered. Not that I'm suggesting anything. The final reason why I don't think this was actually a part of her Betty Ford recovery is that if it was, she left out some pretty key players, like Jax Taylor from Vanderpump Rules. He doesn't even appear on the list under his real name, Jason Couchy.
Has Jax ever hooked up with a celebrity?
Yeah, multiple.
Give me one name.
Porn stars or like actresses or
Actress.
what do you want?
Actress. What? Lindsay Lohan. Wow.
Sorry, dude.
You hooked up with Lindsay Lohan how many years ago? It was a long time ago.
It was-
More than once?
No, it was just once, and it was bad. It was
bad.
it was good, but the situation was no. She was great.
Oh, really?
It was a long time ago. It was the next day she got married. She didn't get married the next day to a girl, I think. It was a long time ago.
What made her
Literally.
great?
She got in a car accident.
What made her great?
I mean, she was just very affectionate.
Wow.
Suck it in.
Okay.
Of course, Lindsay denies she ever slept with him.
You may plead the fifth to only one. Our first question comes from Lisa Vanderpump. Watch right here.
Jax Taylor revealed on Watch What Happens Live that he once hooked up with you. How would you describe Jax as a lover in 3 words?
Lisa, I love you, but I've never even met him.
Really?
I've never met him.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Really? Maybe he met like Annie or Hallie.
You're
Caddy.
You're calling Jax Taylor a liar?
Yes.
You wouldn't be the first.
Whether it was true or not, Lindsay never would have put him on the list because everyone on it has some level of fame or success. One person with fame that wasn't included on her sexual inventory that she can't deny is a one Samantha Ronson. If this was really about the 4th step in AA, how could she leave out someone that she had a committed and very toxic relationship with? Exactly. Now that I've rationalized my decision to create this episode, here are the names on the list.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, baby, say you love me. 5,
1.
6, 7.
Ashton Kutcher. To which I say, Lindsay, you dirty dog. Going after your ex's best friend, hats off to you. Wilmer deserves it for going after every young starlet who ever appeared on the Vanity Fair Young Hollywood cover from the class of 2003 to 2010. Speaking of Ashton, look up his name in the Hollywood Ripper. Wild story. Don't have time for it. We have many men left on this list to get to. That is not an indictment of Lindsay. You go, girl. Get your rocks off. 2. Ryan Phillippe. According to Us Weekly, this allegedly happened in the spring of 2007 after his divorce from Reese. 3. Stavros Niarchos. We all know about this one, right? If you don't, download the very first episode of this podcast, the feud of Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan, that goes into extremely deep detail about their relationship. You could save that space in your brain for memorizing U.S. capitals or for how to spot the clues of someone having a stroke, but I'd prefer the extra download, thank you. 4. PC Valmorbida. He's a hot, rich LA guy who now owns an art gallery. We know how much Lindsay loves art, as she is a fixture of Art Basel every year. 5. Joaquin Phoenix. There's not much of a paper trail for this one, but he seems like the type. 6. Lucas Haas, better known as one of the founding members of the Pussy Posse. 7. Nico Tortorella. He was in Scream 4 and is now in the show Younger. 8. Evan Peters from American Horror Story. 9. Danny Cipriani, a professional English rugby player. 10. Maggio Cipriani, a restaurateur, no relation to Danny. Lindsay managed to bag 2 guys with the same last name, not even in the same family. Again, not an indictment. I am loving this for her. 11. Benicio del Toro. This might sound wild at first blush, but the story tracks like they're Pete Doherty's forearms in 2007. Benicio dated Scarlett Johansson in 2004 after Lost in Translation. He was linked to Lindsay around 2006. What else happened in 2006? After a night of partying at Score Strip Club in New York City with Kate Moss, the two headed to another bar. In the bathroom, Lindsay wrote on a stall, "Scarlett is a bloody cunt." Now, some say her motivation for this was that she was jealous that Scarlett was dating Jared Leto, but maybe it was both. Lindsay's fling with Benicio didn't last long, but apparently the guy really has a taste for early 2000s tabloid fixtures. In 2011, he had a baby girl with Kimberly Stewart, Paris Hilton's BFF of all people. What a world. 12. Aaron Boros, a hockey player for the New York Rangers. 13. Wilmer Valderrama, Lindsay's first love other than Aaron Carter, I guess. Side note, I once met Wilmer at a Whole Foods in Tarzana. He is off the scale charming. Like, in the moment, I thought, wow, I get it. If I were between the ages of 16 to 24, I would not be able to resist the direct eye contact. As an adult woman, I'm like, okay, this is a Whole Foods in Tarzana, so relax, Fez. I'm also not saying he was hitting on me, but I get the vibe that he's the kind of guy who needs to know that every woman in the room or the freezer section is attracted to him. And I see right through that. Hello, Wisconsin! 14. Jamie Burke. Some guy that dated Lindsay, Sienna Miller, Kate Moss, and Courtney Love all around the same time. Yikes, Jamie. You certainly have a type. Who hurt ya, babe? 15. Another Jamie? Jamie Dornan of 50 Shades of Grey. Another guy who was linked to Kate Moss and Sienna Miller. 16. Zac Efron. 17. Orlando Bloom, whose other connection to Lindsay was they were both burglarized by the bling ring in 2009. 18. Noted anti-vaxxer and fuckboy Justin Timberlake. There was one blog in 2008 that reported they had a one-night stand, but there's not much to go on other than that. However, Lindsay has most definitely met him as she played in one of NSYNC's charity basketball games. 19. Brian at GPA. No one knew who that was, but I cracked it. It was actually Brian at GPH, Gramercy Park Hotel. The H looked like an A. Brian is Brian Newman, Lady Gaga's trumpet player, who has a residency at Gramercy Park Hotel. He was engaged around the time he probably would have come in contact with Lindsay, and that's all the investigative journalism I have in me for today. 20. Josh Mond, a film producer and director of Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. 21. Colin Farrell. They apparently shared a night of ecstasy in 2004 at the Chateau Marmont. 22. Heath Ledger. In 2008, Star Magazine allegedly got their hands on Lindsay's personal diary, and allegedly, she says in the diary that she was dating Heath at the time of his death. But if you remember, when Heath's masseuse showed up at his apartment and found him unresponsive, she called Mary-Kate Olsen first. It was reported that she had been dating him for 3 months. Mary-Kate sent her security detail to Heath's apartment along with police. If Heath and Lindsay dated during this time, it wouldn't be the first time she and Mary-Kate were connected to the same guy. Mary-Kate also dated Stavros Niarchos. Again, download the first episode of Les Deux to hear more. 23. Ryan Rotman, an unsuccessful actor boy about town. 24. Max George, a member of the boy band The Wanted. 25. Guy Berryman, the bassist for Coldplay. 26. Adam Levine. He vehemently denied the claim on The Howard Stern Show. 27. Garrett Hedlund. He played opposite Lindsay in Georgia Rule and also denies they slept together. 28. Riley S., as it's written on the list. People assume this is actually Riley Giles, a rando guy she used to sleep with in rehab in 2007. 29. Petey Wright, a model she slept with at the Chateau after a photo shoot. 30. James Franco, another person who denies having sex with her on Howard Stern's show. He does, however, admit to making out with her while filming Spider-Man 2. After denying the story, James went ahead and did what any Renaissance man would do in his position. He wrote a fictional short story about Lindsay to be published on Vice.com. Entitled Bungalow 89, I Shall Treat You to an Excerpt. She knocked on the door. She was in her pajamas. She had bare feet. Once upon a time, a guy, a Hollywood guy, read some Salinger to a young woman who hadn't read him before. Let's call this girl Lindsay. She was a Hollywood girl, but a damaged one. I knew that she would like Salinger because most young women do. I read her 2 of the 9 stories, A Perfect Day for Banana Fish and For Esme, with Love and Squalor. Banana Fish was great because it has a nagging mother on the other end of the phone line. Nothing like Lindsay's real mother, but still, the mother-daughter thing was good for her to hear. And there's a little girl in the story, Sybil, and the pale suicide, Seymour, who kisses her foot and talks about banana fish with her. Those fantastic phallic fish who stick their heads in holes and gorge themselves. It should be called A Perfect Day for Dick Fish. And then, bam, he shoots himself. If James Franco ever tried to read me Salinger, I'd shoot myself. The last 6 names have remained redacted to this day for legal reasons. There are probably some bigger celebrities who had the power to threaten In Touch to leave their names out. They surely didn't want the drama that being tied to Lindsay would cause. But if you were to ask Lindsay today, the exact opposite is true. She was quoted that the reason her reality show Lindsay Lohan's Beach Club was canceled was due to the fact that there wasn't enough drama in her life. I would love to believe that. I'm always rooting for a true Robert Downey Jr. level comeback for her. I'm a stan. I'm a Lindsay Lohan stan. But the truth of the matter is, she tried to kidnap Syrian refugee children just a few months before her reality show premiered. And if that ain't drama, honey, I don't know what is. Do You Remember This is researched, written, narrated, and edited by me, Darlene. If you aren't already, please subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating and review. You can follow updates on the pod on Instagram and Twitter. And please, if you like the podcast, share it. Tell your friends. It's true what they say. It takes a village to make me famous. If you have any questions, comments, or show suggestions, please email laydouyourememberthis@gmail.com. Our next episode will cover the Pussycat Dolls. So you're invited to come back next week. We've got a table, and I've put you on the list for Les Do You Remember That.